In this episode of The Primer, we offer you a glimpse of society and economy towards the end of 19th century and in the beginning of 20th century as Dogras consolidated their power and authority.
Society and economy of the Dogra state at the turn of the century. By the closing decades of the 19th century, the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir had entered a new phase. The conquests and codifications of Maharaja Gulab Singh and Maharaja Ranbir Singh had given way to stability. Under Maharaja Pratap Singh, who ascended the throne in 1885, the Dogra state stood at once traditional and modern. An old Himalayan kingdom learning the habits of modern administration while holding firm to its feudal base. The population of the state, estimated then at around 2.5 million, was spread across landscapes as varied as any in Asia. The Jammu plains were predominantly Hindu and agrarian, with Dogra landlords and peasant cultivators forming the social backbone. The Kashmir Valley was mostly Muslim, with small Pandit and Sholbaf weavers communities dominating urban crafts and administration. The highlands of Ladakh and Baltistan were largely Buddhist and Shia Muslim. Each region had its own ecology, dialect, and rhythm of life, but they were bound together by the Dogra state's expanding bureaucratic order. In the social hierarchy, the Dogra Rajput elite occupied the apex. Below them were a wide array of castes, occupational groups, and village communities. In the Kashmir Valley, Persianized urban culture and Sufi traditions coexisted with a peasantry tied to the land through heavy taxation and debt. The condition of the Muslim peasantry would later become the central theme of early 20th century reform politics, but in the 1890s it remained largely invisible to the court, except as a source of revenue. The administration codified under Ranbir Singh had matured by this period into a multi-tiered system. Governors, thanedars or kardars managed districts, while revenue and judicial codes, the Ranbir Penal Code and Civil Procedure Code, governed daily affairs. The legal order was modern in form but feudal in substance. The state remained the largest landholder, and taxation on produce, shawls, and forest products formed the bulk of revenue. Economically, the late Dogra state reflected both continuity and change. The shawl industry of the Kashmir Valley, which had once made the region famous in Paris and St. Petersburg, suffered a decline after 1870 due to import restrictions in Europe and changing fashion. Yet pashmina wool, fruit, and saffron continued to be exported. Trade through Ladakh and Gilgit connected the state to Yarkand and Tibet, while the opening of the Jammu-Sialkot rail link 1890 integrated it more closely with British India. Land remained the key to wealth and authority. The land revenue system, though reformed under British pressure, often left cultivators at subsistence levels. By contrast, a small professional class, officials, teachers, and traders, began to emerge in Jammu and Srinagar, marking the faint beginnings of a middle class. Social mobility remained limited, but the idea of education as an avenue of advancement was taking root. Missionary and state schools opened in both capitals in the 1880s and 1890s. Culturally, the Dogra state was a mosaic of languages and faiths. Dogri, Kashmiri, Urdu, Ladakhi, Balti, and Sheena were all spoken. Temples, mosques, monasteries, and shrines dotted the landscape. The Dogra rulers, while orthodox in personal faith, generally maintained a policy of pragmatic tolerance, supporting Sanskrit learning in Jammu and preserving shrines and Waqf lands in the valley. By 1900, Jammu and Kashmir had become what one British official called a little empire within an empire. It had its own codes, its own army, and its own administrative class. Yet beneath this order lay deep social divides that would later erupt into political consciousness. The Dogra state of 1900 was, in essence, a microcosm of India itself, stratified, diverse, proud of tradition, and tentatively stepping into modernity.
Thanks for watching this episode of Primer on Jammu and Kashmir. Here is a quick note from the editors of the Dispatch. While dealing with historical events, we are conscious of the fact that history has no single view. In places like Jammu and Kashmir, this can be more complicated. While explaining the events of history through this primer, we are taking the best possible care to be objective and to offer context wherever views differ starkly. We welcome you to write to us and enrich the knowledge base on Jammu and Kashmir.